I'm going to assume if you've clicked on this video, you watch Game of Thrones, and today you will be watching the first episode of the brand new Season 6. I know I will. What's up guys, my name is Danny Berg, this is Most Amazing Top 10, and today we've got the top 10 facts about Game of Thrones. Now if you haven't seen the show before, I'm afraid I'm not going to be explaining it all to you. I'm going to assume you have a basic knowledge of the show and the characters and the plot, so be warned. There may be spoilers in this video if you haven't seen it all. Now we've got that all out of the way, let's jump into it, because to be honest with you guys, I want to get off and go and watch the new season as much as the rest of you. At number 10, the writer of Game of Thrones, George R.R. Martin, has told the show's production company HBO how the story will end in case he dies before finishing the books, and they have nothing to use for the TV show. George has been suffering from a number of undisclosed health problems in recent years and let HBO know where he plans to be heading with the books that he hasn't actually finished yet. In an interview, he hit back at people who were concerned he might die before finishing the book, saying, "I find that question pretty offensive, frankly, when people start speculating about my death and my health. So f you to those people." His words guys, not mine. But I can totally see where he's coming from. At number 9 now, we all know that the Mountain might be one of the strongest people in Westeros, but did you know that the actor who plays him is actually the 3rd strongest person in the world in real life? Now his name is Halfthor Julian Bjornsson. What a name, and he has won countless medals at events both in his native Iceland and across the world. In fact, a clip went viral in 2015 of him fighting in a fighting spar with world famous UFC fighter Conor McGregor. Also, the most impressive thing I've seen about this guy is that he actually broke a 1,000-year-old record of carrying a 33-foot Viking shipmast on his back for 5 steps. That is quite frankly unbelievable. Check out the actual video of it. Forget the Mountain at this point, Halfthor seems more of a fictional character to me. At number 8, Game of Thrones is the most pirated show of all time. A Game of Thrones episode only gets knocked off the top spot for illegal downloads by a new Game of Thrones episode. It's been this way for the past 4 years. Now according to the website Torrent Freak, the most recent episode, the season 5 finale, was illegally downloaded 14.4 million times. To put that in perspective for you guys, the number 2 spot was taken by The Walking Dead with a measly 4.4 million. It's thought that the main reason for the piracy has been a lack of legal access for the fans. Until April 2015, viewers of the show around the world had almost no real options for how to watch Game of Thrones legally. HBO did expand their network to allow 170 other countries outside of the US to watch Game of Thrones, yay, but the new service is limited to only Apple products like iPhones and iPads. Either way, we'll have to see if this level of piracy continues into the new season, or if the only Game of Thrones smuggler left is Davos Seaworth. At number 7, Game of Thrones is based a lot on medieval European history. Now the main story arc between the Starks and the Lannisters is actually based on the War of the Roses that happened in England, and there could be a number of parallels drawn between the cast members. Theon Greyjoy is said to be a guy called George Plantage. Cersei is based on Margaret of Anjou, and Ned Stark is based on Richard of York, and the list goes on and on. Now if you want to see all the parallels that I'm talking about, check out Ted Ed. They have a YouTube channel. They actually did a great breakdown of all of this on that channel. So if you love Game of Thrones but have always thought history was a bit too boring, then maybe give it a second chance, because the storyline of real actual history that happened has inspired books and shows like our beloved Game of Thrones. Next up, Game of Thrones has turned a lot of actors from being relatively unknown into being well-known names, but at number 6, some of them already have famous family. Now you guys will obviously remember Talisa Stark, the woman who married Robb Stark. Let's not go into her whole story with Robb in case someone ignored the spoiler warning at the start, you'll know what I mean by that, but the actress who plays Talisa is called Una Chaplin, and if you're wondering where you heard the surname Chaplin before, yeah, it's this guy, Charlie Chaplin. Una is his granddaughter. And if that isn't enough for you, then how about this? Daenerys Targaryen's brother, Viserys Targaryen, is played by British actor Harry Lloyd, and he's actually Charles Dickens' great-great-great-grandson. Crazy. Also, Ygritte, Jon Snow's wildling love interest, is played by Rose Leslie, who is a descendant of Charles II, and Theon Greyjoy is played by Alfie Allen. That's Lily Allen's younger brother. Maybe some of you guys have heard the song Alfie. That's him. At number 5, Game of Thrones has spawned a baby naming craze, with newborns being named after characters in the show every single year. In 2014, 1,544 babies were named Arya in the US alone, pushing it up to the 216th most popular name in the country, and 4 places above the name Jennifer. That means there are probably more 2-year-olds in America called Arya than there are called Jennifer right now. Khaleesi was also a big name. It was given to 146 girls in 2013. That name is the Dothraki word for queen, a fictional language and a name that doesn't even exist in the naming records previous to the show. By 2013, there's a good chance that thousands of Aryas and Khaleesi's will be watching Game of Thrones for the first time to see where their parents got their name from. Crazy. And now at number 4, the fictional languages in Game of Thrones of Dothraki and Valyrian were created just for the show. Even in the original books, George R.R. Martin only left a few examples of the words used in those languages. When the producers came to make the show, they had to hire a linguistic expert from the Language Creation Society to help them. On a side note, I didn't know there was a Language Creation Society. That's awesome. This expert took the words and phrases from the book and turned them into entire languages. The Dothraki dictionary alone has 4,000 words in it, and knowing how obsessed some fans can get, I can guarantee you that there are many people who know every word. Yodafesiani. Coming in at number 3 now, we all have a bit of a love-hate relationship with the evil boy King Joffrey, right? Okay, well maybe it's more of a hate-hate relationship, but for the actor who plays him, Jack Gleeson, it looks like it might be the last acting role he'll ever have. Now when I first heard that, I thought it was because every time he auditioned for another role, people would just see him as Joffrey and hate him. But in an interview, Jack said the real reason is quite simple. He just doesn't like acting that much anymore. He's been acting ever since he was 8 years old, and he even landed a role in the Batman movie, but these days he says he's more interested in humanitarianism and helping his fellow humans. The other year he spent time in Haiti helping the poor. In fact, he might actually be the furthest from his horrible character as you can possibly get, which is a very good thing. Unless this is all an act and he really is like King Joffrey. Someone pass me his wine. At number 2 now, it might come as no surprise that Game of Thrones is a record-breaking, award-winning machine. As well as being the most pirated show, Game of Thrones is also the most broadly, simultaneously cast show of all time. They got this record when episode 1 of season 5 was beamed to 173 different countries at the same time. Arya actress Maisie Williams accepted the Guinness World Record for that. The show has also won 26 Primetime Emmy Awards and has been nominated for a further 86. That's really impressive. Tyrion Lannister actor Peter Dinklage alone picked up Best Supporting Actor at 4 awards show for his season 1 performance, including an Emmy and a Golden Globe. I'm almost out of breath just talking about how many awards they're getting. Even the Game of Thrones trailer, that's the trailer for the new season, broke records. The latest trailer was watched 30 million times in 24 hours between YouTube and Facebook, an HBO record. Just the trailer. Okay, breathe. We've reached number 1 now, and let's talk about the Red Wedding. Yes, we can't avoid this forever. Now this episode is the one that comes to the lips of pretty much anyone who's seen the show when they recommend it to a friend. If you've made it this far and you still don't want a spoiler, look away now. What are you doing here at this point? This episode spawned countless reaction videos on YouTube at the events that took place. Take that, Fine Brothers, where are you now? And it's easily the most famous because of it. But the episode's worth goes even deeper than that, because the executive producers of the show, David Benioff and D.B. Weiss, said they only consider turning the books into the TV show we all know and love after reading the Red Wedding chapter. So even though you might have been shocked and appalled at that episode, you might not have had a show at all without it. So I guess there's a silver lining to that cloud. On a side note, George R.R. Martin said the Red Wedding chapter was so hard to write for him, he wrote the entire book before going back and writing that chapter. Intense. Now I don't know about you guys, but hearing me babble on and on about Game of Thrones has made me so unbelievably hyped for the new season that I just want to go home right now and sit on my couch and stare at my screen until it comes on. What about you guys? Are you hyped? What are your thoughts? Leave your thoughts on the show and any cool facts that I might have missed out in the comments section below. There is nothing more important than watching the new episode today, but I guess a secondary important thing might be subscribing, maybe, to Most Amazing Top 10 if you haven't done already. That comes in a close second. In the meantime guys, thanks for watching. I'm Danny Berg, I'm very out of breath now, and I'm gonna go right now and get ready to watch it. Okay, roll theme.